This is my dad, Ronnie, my grandma, Janice, my grandma, Hazel, my mom, Ginger, and my boyfriend, Guy. In your head, I would like for you all to imagine a small, gentle rabbit named Bunny. Bunny has spent her entire life locked in a cage, never knowing the warmth of the sun or the excitement of running through a field. One day, she is taken from her cage and put on a cold metal table. Her heart begins to race, and she is restrained, unable to move. A lab technician approaches with an IV bag filled with a harmful chemical. Bunny's eyes begin to widen with fear and confusion as the liquid is pumped into her veins. The pain is instant and intense, burning her skin and paralyzing her immediately. She cries and screeches, but there is no escape. Bunny's experience is not unique. In fact, she is one of the millions of animals who suffer such cruelty each year. Today, my goal is to persuade you that animal testing is cruel and unethical. It is important that all of society recognizes this because awareness drives change. I am credible to speak on this topic because I have done extensive research and previously spoken on the pros and cons of animal testing. Today, I will discuss how animal testing causes suffering, how animal testing has several scientific limitations, and it is not the only source of test subjects for scientists. Now that I have introduced you to animal testing, I will start with my first main point. Animal testing causes pain and suffering. Animal tests inflict serious suffering on animals, with statistics from Kristen Stone showing that each year more than 115 animals undergo actions that cause pain. According to the Humane Society International, animals that are in labs are subjected to force feeding, forced inhalations, forced food and water deprivations, prolonged periods of physical restraint, and inflictions of burns and other wounds to study the healing process. This practice causes intense physical and psychological distress to the poor, helpless animals forced to be in the lab. Just imagine the fear and pain these animals endure every day. Each cry and whimper is a plea for mercy that goes unheard due to the common amount of support that animal testing receives. Consider the case of a beagle named Echo, who was rescued from a laboratory in China by the Beagle Freedom Project. Echo had spent years in a lab being subjected to painful experiments that left her with several physical and emotional scars. According to the Beagle Freedom Project, Echo had several other beagles with her that were used in tests that involved force-feeding chemicals and undergoing invasive procedures such as dropping harsh chemicals into the eyes of animals to record the results. This is just one of the 2,000 horror stories the BFP rescued beagles from. This example highlights the unethical suffering animals experience through experiments in labs. Now that you know that animal testing causes suffering, it is also crucial to know that there are several scientific limitations to animal testing. John Pippin, the Director of Academic Affairs at the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, has stated that animal testing is inherently flawed due to the significant biological differences between humans and animals, leading to high failure rate in translating results to effective human treatments. According to Dr. Pippin, over 90% of drugs that have passed animal tests fail in human clinical trials. This shocking statistic perfectly shows the scientific limitations of animal testing, revealing that not only is it unethical, but fails to produce reliable results for human health. This means that animals who experience such intense suffering play a very small role in medical advancements. One notable example of the scientific limitations of animal testing is the drug case Vioxx. According to the article by Raina Steinzor and Margaret Clune, Vioxx, which is a drug that was initially deemed safe for animal testing, and it had undergone extensive animal testing, was later found to cause serious cardiovascular issues in humans, which led to its withdrawal from the market in 2004. This incident displays the significant biological differences between humans and animals, which can result in misleading safety and data efficiency. This example shows the urgent need to use alternative testing methods that are more predictive of human responses and don't harm animals. Not only does animal testing cause suffering and have scientific limitations, but there are also superior alternatives to testing on animals. Dr. Tarmas Hartung, the director of the Center of Alternatives to Animal Testing at Johns Hopkins University, has highlighted the superiority of modern testing methods and stated that human cell-based assays and computer modeling are not only more humane, but also more effective in predicting human responses. For instance, organ-on-chips, which mimics human organ functions, have shown remarkable accuracy in assessing drug toxicity. These chips could replicate human organ responses with over 90% accuracy, outperforming traditional animal tests. This is clear evidence that shows the potential of advanced technologies to replace animal testing. A study published by the Journal of American Medical Association found that only 8% of cancer drugs successful in animal tests actually work in human trials. This means that countless animals suffered needlessly, enduring pain and stress for results that ultimately fail. Imagine the heartbreak of knowing these innocent creatures' sacrifices often led to dead ends. By embracing advanced alternatives like human tissue cultures, we can achieve more reliable outcomes and spare these animals from unnecessary suffering. As you can see, based on my 3 main points, it is obvious that animal testing is unethical and should be stopped immediately. My main points today in this speech were animal testing causes suffering, there are several scientific limitations to animal testing, and there are multiple alternatives to animal testing. My goal in giving this speech to you today was to persuade you that animal testing is unethical, and it is important that you all recognize this because in order to stop animal testing, one must first understand how unethical it really is. After listening to this speech, I hope you can now see animal testing as unethical. Without doing so, there will be millions of more animals just like Bunny who suffer the consequences of experimenting on animals.